What is up, everyone? It's Chase back on Titletown Podcast here with Adam again. Just did Celtics yesterday. Now we're on to the Red Sox. So some big news came out. Before we get into any topics, I want to say today we are also presented and brought to you by the Instagram account at Patriots_Nation 2 underscores. This guy just talked about him yesterday, but great Instagram account, always up to date and everything about the Pats. Obviously, it's kind of tough that we're talking about the Red Sox. We talked about the Celtics yesterday, but still want to give this guy a shout out and want to say that we're proud to be brought to you guys by him. So, real quick before we get into the topics, Adam, what's going on?
How we doing, Chase? I'm glad to be back.
Glad to be back. We talked about some good topics yesterday. Let's get into some other good ones.
Yeah,
first, talking about the Red Sox, Cora is back.
Let's
which
go.
Is big. Adam, I'll let you take it away first.
Oh, my God. I'm so happy. I think I sent you a text a couple days ago that said, give me Cora or give me death.
Yeah, absolutely did.
I'm glad I got Cora. I got Cora, man. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so obviously Cora's back, but I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate in a situation that there most likely just doesn't need to be a devil's advocate. But I saw some reports. Obviously, we saw that there was the top 5 managerial candidates. I obviously wanted Cora back. This man literally brought us a World Series in 1 year. And then the next year we finished above 500. We all know how difficult it is to finish above 500 in MLB. It's nuts. It's pretty insane if you do. I think it's one of the hardest sports to go above 500, obviously, because you play so many games. But I wanted Cora back, like I just said. I also really liked the guy. I can't remember his name. I'm pretty sure he's in the Twins organization. And he's the guy. This guy seemed really sick. I was really looking forward to talking about him, but then Cora got hired, so we don't even need to worry about it. But he was on the Yankees farm system with Judge and Gary Sanchez on the Twins the past 2 years. He's the hitting coach. Got them to those home run records, which is unbelievable. So I was kind of, if it's not Cora, I'm fine with that guy. Then he got canned, and then it was Sam Fuld. Sam Fuld. And, I was honestly surprised it was Cora because Sam Fuld and it seemed like Chaim Bloom had a lot of history together. And at the end of the day, this is where the devil's advocate comes in. I want Cora back. We got Cora back. But it does come to question, this is what the reports are coming on, was the front office and the ownership kind of pressuring Bloom to hire him back, whereas maybe Fuld was Bloom's man of choice. What's your opinion on that, Adam?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I was reading some stuff about that too, and I know the ownership was like, oh yeah, this is all Bloom's decision. Obviously, that's not true. I mean, they know who they want to. I think that the fact that Cora was one of the final 2. How could they bring him that far and then not hire him?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very big.
I think they had to go through the process, had to talk to everybody. But if you're going to have Cora in the finals, I mean, he was our guy. He only left because of some BS he didn't do with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if that didn't happen, he would have been our guy straight through here, even once Bloom came in. I will say, though, one thing I've been seeing floating around a little bit, which I would love to see, be Sam Fuld as our bench coach under Cora. I think that would be pretty sick because, I mean, he's obviously pretty young, pretty close to the players, seems like a really likable guy.
Yeah.
And then he does have that connection with Bloom, could maybe be a little bit of an intermediary between Cora and Bloom, just to kind of make sure that everything runs smoothly between them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I didn't even think of that as a possibility because I also did see, though, that Fuld was I can't remember. That's his name, right? Fuld?
Yeah, Fuld.
Yeah, Fuld. He was offered interviews elsewhere, but he only accepted the Red Sox, which was very interesting. So how typically the MLB kind of goes, it's kind of like being a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator in the NFL, where as soon as you get an option, a chance to become a manager, you get that paycheck and you get, you take it when you can. So obviously we lost like Torey Lovullo years ago. But I feel like the bench coach is a bit safer. And, maybe the Red Sox just don't end up meshing well with Cora again. I don't see that happening. Like, I feel like Boston loves this man. You know what I mean? He's a great guy. He wasn't really making those mistakes John Farrell used to make. But, yeah, so obviously I'm all for Fold coming to the bench coach. And, if he goes to another team in the future, he goes. But, at the end of the day, it's Bloom's regime now, and we have to let him do his thing. And I just really I obviously, again, wanted Cora back. Nothing against Fold, nothing against Cora, nothing against Bloom. I just really hope that we don't see it, Bloom being like why are they kind of essentially making me hire this guy back that I frankly don't even like. But these are all theories, these are all speculation. So is this a possibility? Yes. Is it realistic? Probably not. But that's just, you always got to play a little bit of devil advocate. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right that Fold is a little bit of a safety net too, right? Maybe Cora doesn't remesh. Maybe there's a problem. And I mean, getting Fold a little bit of coaching experience. I mean, he was in the Phillies front office or something, doing some analytics or something like that. So it's not like he's really been like an in the dugout on the field guy. And I think even just getting him a little bit of experience, let him work with Cora. I mean, I don't know if it's even a possibility to bring him on as bench coach. It's just kind of what I'd love to see.
Not bad.
Any way to get him involved in the organization, get him a little exposure. And then if he leaves, he leaves. But otherwise, he might have an impact on the boys in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be opposed to just taking a chance. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's MLB, so much can happen. But yeah, that kind of moves us into the next topic. We're talking about really just that off season and what Bloom has ahead of him from just atrocious 2020 season, given so many different circumstances. Of course, I'll just get the ball rolling. We're picking third, I believe, in the draft, which is I'm not opposed to it. Obviously, the chances of us making the playoffs this year are higher than any other time in postseason history ever, MLB history ever, because there was a 16 team. Obviously, we didn't get the cut. We're picking third, which is very good because, of course, we have we definitely have bottom 5 worst farm system. So, that's hopefully going to be a boost. Hopefully we're going to get some good young talent there. And just before I just segue to you, Adam, I'm just going to say what I see is you got a team who, frankly, they were banged up, moved on from a homegrown all-star MVP. I don't really know how everyone in the organization felt about moving on from Mookie. I personally, was more let's trade Benintendi and keep Mookie, but life goes on. And so we have key pieces, which I see. We got JD, you got Xander, you got Raphael, you got an up-and-comer in Jeter Downs, you got an up-and-comer in Tristan Cassius, you still got Verdugo, who I haven't even mentioned yet. We got Sale coming back. We got hopefully Evaldi can stay healthy. We have key pieces every which way, just random places, but obviously we have gaping holes in so many different places. So Adam, why don't you take it away and give me your just synopsis of what the Red Sox look like right now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said a lot of it. We're not that far away. I mean, if you look at kind of Bogey, Devers, JD, that's a terrifying 2 through 4. Yep. Vasquez was raking this year. Bobby Dalbec, man, that kid can absolutely jack the ball. Benintendi was probably the worst player in baseball for the 2 weeks he played this season.
Absolutely.
So I'll be interested to see if he can bounce back from that a little bit. I absolutely love Verdugo. That kid has so much fun, so much swagger on the field. I don't think this lineup is far off, and I think it all kind of falls to the pitching. I think we got big question marks about Sale and about Eduardo Rodriguez. I mean, hopefully they're both back and pitching well, but who knows? I mean, Erod coming off some heart issues from COVID. And
yeah, that's
Sale
not
with
good.
A lot of arm issues and now off Tommy John. It's hard to know. So I really think we got to focus all in on pitching with so many question marks here. Starters and bullpen, both of them. I don't really know the right answer. I'm sure Chaim Bloom does because he just masterminds these things. I mean, pretty much helped invent the opener role at the Rays, and look what that's done to the MLB. So I'm hopeful that he'll bring in the right people. But, yeah, a little nervous about this pitching. I will say the one guy I want probably not going to make a huge impact, but would be an awesome number 5 starter. John Lester, bring him back to Boston.
I'm all for that. I mean, what do we have to lose? You know, I don't know how much the MLB. It's kind of like the NBA where you got a bad contract, you're kind of screwed. But you know, we have nothing to lose because, frankly, our pitching don't even know who half these people were, and you know, like it was just like granted, a lot came down to the coaching. But now we got Cora back. Cora is a genius in his own sense. But yeah, you raised very good points. Sale coming off Tommy John. One thing I am very hopeful, very, optimistic about is that he did come out and say, I am changing my pitching motion. I am doing all this stuff so I can pitch until I'm 45. So does that mean nothing is stopping anyone from pitching till they're 45? It just, are they going to pitch at a good level? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to see Sale back and healthy. I'm a little concerned. I'm going to be concerned until I see him pitch,
Yep.
200 innings or something like that and just prove that he has a little bit of sustainability this year. But yeah, best case scenario, right? If he's back and healthy, Eduardo Rodriguez back and healthy, Nathan Eovaldi back and healthy, we got the makings of a good rotation. It's just about finding some guys to round it out. I'm curious what you think, Chase, about kind of some big spending versus small spending. Could bring in somebody like Trevor Bauer. We could bring in someone like George Springer to replace JBJ. Do you think we should do that, or should we just kind of go small market like it worked for us in 2013?
Obviously MLB is the what happened in 2013 is what Belichick tends to do with the Pats, and he finds the guys he likes and gets them cheap. And you know what? He's out there on the team for a year, 2 years, and if it doesn't work out, cut him. No one cares. I am not opposed to throwing money towards Bauer. I'm not a huge fan. It's just tough because the thing about the MLB is all the free agents are typically 30 plus, typically 29 plus, and you got some guys that can play their heart out until they're about to retire, like Ortiz did, like CC Sabathia did. But those guys are they're rare. Like we could get George Springer and he could be like the Jacoby Ellsbury in the Yankees, and then it's like, oh. So I'm not a huge fan of us throwing money at a guy, especially when we're not trying to spend money. The Red Sox have made it clear that they are not trying to spend money. Hence, we didn't sign Mookie Betts. So I don't want us to be in a situation where we did what Bill O'Brien did. You know what I mean? Like, let me trade away. I'm not trying to do all these NFL references, but like it just works so perfectly there. So I'm more of a small money kind of guy, but I would not be opposed to like Trevor Bauer coming in because MLB obviously it's defense wins championships, football. MLB, you gotta find that balance. You gotta have that really good pitching and you gotta have that really good hitting. You can have the best pitching and someone has an off day and he's set back 5 days and you lost that game. It's just like the MLB players are ruthless. You know what I mean? You lose one game, it's not good. So we have the offense. I'm very comfortable with our offense. So I would, if we're going to spend big, I'm not trying to avoid this question, but if we're going to spend big, I want to spend big on pitching. But then again, that's also the most costly because then you got Tommy John, you got da-da-da-da-da. And, hitting, you can always find a guy like Nelson Cruz, give him a 1-year deal, not throwing that much money. And with Encadas, you can find those big bats that you can find those guys. And, maybe they bat 230, maybe they strike out 200 plus times, but, they're the big bats you still need. At the end of the day, we still have JD. That's all I can really say about that topic. But one thing I do want to say, kind of like a third segment really into this is it's interesting because how many times have the Red Sox been in last place in recent memory?
Every time they didn't win the World Series.
Exactly. But the thing that is interesting this time, and again, 16-team playoffs, 3 teams from the AL East made the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure the Orioles weren't that far out from making it too. No, so you got the Red Sox are in a very unique situation, in my opinion. I'm going to ask you this obviously when I'm done, but we are at that point. We are not young, but we are not old. So, you got the Rays, who I would consider young. You got the Blue Jays, who I absolutely would consider young. And then you got the Yankees, who are just going to be the Yankees and always be really good, no matter how really competitive. I won't say good, really competitive, no matter what their age is, because they will just pay anyone. And then you got the Orioles, who are they're relevant. They're not what they used to be. So what's your just my thing is, I think the Red Sox are essentially, frankly, the worst outlook for the future right now, given our farm system and given our lack of our only good talent currently in MLB that is young. You can count Bogaerts as young, but I don't really count him as young because you got a Rafael Devers. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right that we're kind of in an odd position, but I also think we're not all that old. I mean, if you look at some of the cornerstones here, Verdugo could be here for a very long time, and that kid can play. Vasquez doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. Devers, Bogaerts, Bobby Delbeck, like I mentioned before, even Benintendi, if he can turn things around. I mean, that's 5-6 really strong offensive and defensive players that I think could be around as a core of this team for a long time. I think you're right. We definitely need a little more emphasis on our farm system. I think Bloom tried that at the trade deadline this year, so we'll see if any of those guys, Yairo Munoz and people like that, can kind of make an impact at some point. I'm not sure, but I do think we're not so far behind those other teams in terms of being able to win in the future. I wouldn't call us a win now team just based on finishing in an embarrassing last place last year.
But saying we're a win now team would be
pieces
ridiculous
to compete with these guys right now and compete with these other teams. Do I think we'll come out and just win the division? No, not necessarily. But can we battle? Can we get into the playoffs? Maybe a wild card, maybe compete for the division and make a little run? I don't see why not.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And, again, we got Cora back. Now we have a manager, a guy that can manage. Yeah, winning the division would be a far-fetched because you got the Rays, who just won the World Series. You got the Yankees, who were, possibly could have been in the ALCS along with them. And, you got the Blue Jays, who they're young and up and coming. But I absolutely can see us competing for a wild card. I don't know if MLB is going to expand their playoffs. I think they should, frankly. I think everyone loves more games. I don't know who doesn't love more games. But, again, you were right that, it's – you're definitely more optimistic than I am, and I'm not coming out here and saying I expect us to finish last again. It's just – we do have young guys, but we don't have those young all-star type talents besides Devers, and I don't count Bogaerts as a young talent. That like some other teams have, but to counterbalance that, and I think you can remember that the one thing in MLB that is uncomparable to any other playoff is experience, and we have a bunch of players that won a World Series on this team, and playoff experience is probably the most valuable thing when it comes to the playoffs in. Unlike the NBA, unlike the NFL, and it's kind of like hockey. You see the lower seed teams beat the better team, the better seeded teams all the time. And so, if we get to that wild card game, we can make a run. At the end of the day, it takes experience and obviously takes talent. But the thing is, we got to get to those situations. We got to get to that playoff game. And you know what? Bloom's a promising GM. I feel like you absolutely agree with me on that. And you know what? Only time will tell. Any other thing to add to just that division outlook?
Yeah, I think you're right, kind of talking about what wins, right? And I think the other thing maybe to add is just the heart and the energy. I mean, you get to a must-win playoff game, and that matters. You look back to 2018, even look back 2013 with all the Boston Strong stuff like that. But even 2018 with Cora, I mean, these guys were just having fun. You never saw Rafael Devers with a huge smile on his face. And where was that this year? You know, they weren't playing for each other. They weren't an energetic team. There was just nothing clicking. So you give these guys another offseason together. We know who our core is going to be on offense. We have Alex Cora back working with them. And I think we're just going to see a lot more energy and heart around this team this year. And I think that can go a little farther than we might expect.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. So any last remarks before we end this segment?
Yeah, I said it with John Lester, and I'm saying it again because I love that guy. Mistake not to sign him after 2013. This guy also just bought fans in Chicago $50,000 of beer. I don't know how you don't want that guy back in your clubhouse. But the other one is Mitch Moreland. Love having the guy. Key part of our 2018 World Series. I mean, made sense to trade him this year when we weren't going to win. We could get something. Sign him back for one more year. Have him as a platoon with Bobby Dalbec. See how Dalbec does, but have Mitch Moreland as the veteran option there. I think that would be a great move to ensure some bench depth this year too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Moreland's a great clubhouse guy. He's a Gold Glove winner in the past. You know, defense is people look at defense in MLB. I think it's like it doesn't really matter, but it does. Defense really it makes a difference. You know, you got Rafael Devers out there making area games. That doesn't help. So maybe we can get that Moreland back counterbalance. But yeah, absolutely agree on all of that. All right, so this was another great segment. Obviously, we just did the Celtics yesterday, and now we did the Red Sox today with Adam. I want to thank you again for coming on. Hopefully, we can keep getting you on to these topics, you know, Red Sox, Celtics. But hope everyone enjoyed this video or this episode, and everyone make sure you go like and subscribe. And one more time before we sign off, brought to you by the Instagram account Patriots_Nation with 2 underscores following that. Adam, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Chase. It's a lot of fun.
Anytime. See you guys.